The following is a short clip from our conversation with the founders of ethical fashion brand Apparis for the Beyond Fashion Business podcast. Apparis is a fashion brand that is redefining ethical fashion. They offer elevated alternatives to luxury animal-derived products like leather and faux fur, and have multiple famous investors like supermodel Karlie Kloss. Apparis is a perfect case study for any fashion entrepreneurs or designers that aspire to build the ethical brands of the future, or at least learn how to become a more ethically conscious brand. Right. Okay. And would it be correct to say that, and at the first stage, which is sort kind of like validation stage, because I've found in my own experience that every single stage, the kind of like the most important piece of advice that I would give myself is almost people related, right? Find a better dot, dot, dot. Find a better vendor, find a better supply chain or logistical partner, find a better agency or distributor, find a better team member, dot, dot, dot. So that's different stages, different people, but it's always find somebody else, right? Find a right partner, find the right person. So at the first stage in validation, since everything in validating a brand is so product specific, it's more focused on finding the right supply chain and production partners and how that looks like, right? The right factories at the right prices, the right speed, the right MOQs, all those different
Mhm.
things.
But
And
then
then,
the thing, yeah, sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but just to add to the point, I think for us and where maybe we did things a little different ways that we had found the right partner, that could make the right product. And then we then moved to the phase of selling the product. And then the last phase, right, okay, now we need to actually build an infrastructure.
Hmm.
So for us, I feel like we really streamlined, and I think that's why we entered the market in such a strong ways because we had figured that out before even,
When we
Right.
presented to
like
Bloomingdale's the collection, we were confident that we could deliver
on the
like
production.
on the production side. We knew like we were confident about it. We're not confident about how, but we knew the factory, like
Right.
we knew they would like be good
The
partners.
pricing work,
Yeah.
again, the MOQ you mentioned, it's a triggering word for my team. Work. Like we had that like on lockdown, so it was just, then selling it and how to then ship it.
Okay. And in the stage two, kind of like growth phase, how did that problem evolve? Was it we were developing new products and therefore we had to repeat the exact process, but with five different products and therefore a lot of other different external partners, or how did that problem evolve?
As far as product, I would say it was never a problem. I think, again, 18 being such a strong reception, price point work, people love the material. If anything, I remember like our collection for 2019 was huge, and looking back, it was way too much. So again, it was partnering the same factory, co-designing with them and their team, in the show in Paris. I don't
Delivering
think
in time. Yeah.
yeah, it was just so exciting. Like buyers, they had a great sales through. It was just like so like 2018 really did so well that I think 2019 again for us, and we stayed. We didn't really expand categories at the time. We were still just like we just blew up what we did in 2018. So I don't remember any like challenges.
Well, no, I think it was like the
Well,
infrastructure that we built initially worked for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we upgraded, but upgrading wasn't as hard as like starting from scratch. Like
Right.
we upgraded 3PL, we
Like-
upgraded software, like ERP system. We were like a lot of the things that we were doing, we were more confident about processes and all of that. So I think it wasn't, yeah, we keep like improving our operation, but we had a good foundation.
Mhm.
That
Okay.
still, yeah, which is, and we're still improving. We'll keep improving
Yeah.
forever.
Understood.
I think that worked. That worked for the way we build operation was for it was to allow scaling.
Yeah.
So we knew
Understood.
we have room for scaling with our 3PL, with our financing partners, with
Factory.
factories. So we had room to scale.
Okay. And how did this operation look like from a team perspective? It was you two. What specific partners, what specific of the vendors, or what specific interns under what specific areas of focus? I don't want to say roles, right? Because at the very early on, there's no roles. It's just areas of focus. So how would you describe the operations?
When we started or
Then,
now?
Yeah.
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 When
Like
we
the
started,
the foundations of the brand from an operational perspective. Just so we
over,
can now we can transition to like the newer challenges and how that looks like from an
yeah.
operation perspective
So
as
there
well.
was like a challenge is because when we launched, we really wanted to build operation and build a business that was both DTC, so with our .com, and wholesale. And we wanted, like, I think we were very clear, even if at the time people were telling us we were crazy, that we wanted to do both and we wanted to build both. So we had to build operations for both DTC and for wholesale. So we had to hire people, like, hire like either very junior or intern people to manage our .com. Our first .com person who actually was an intern from France, and she did a great job starting it and really starting operations for and customer service for Apparis.com. We had someone building like logistics and supply chain for wholesale. So these were like operationally, they were the two key people that really started things. I was obviously very involved. I'm still quite involved on that topic because my mindset is that if we can't ship correctly and on time, then yeah, it's not
Yeah,
a
of
sale.
course. Yeah, but support in order for you to prioritize your energy productively, right? Because sometimes it's not productive for you to spend hours on the phone fighting with the carrier about what happened with a specific order, right? I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
another creative, I think for us, the first hire, of course, to support Apparis.com and social media was a graphic designer. We had a part-time graphic designer for a while. And then later on, we brought in a very junior designer
Okay.
to elevate
Understood.
the connections.
Perfect. And by the way, how long do I have you for? Do we have a hard stop? Because I could talk about these topics forever. So that I know. I'm mindful of time.
Yeah, like this. Yeah.
Yeah, we're okay. Yeah.
And 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes. What would be better for you guys?
10, 15?
Perfect. That's
Works.
fine. Okay. And then evolving into, the second later stage. And maybe we can do a part two sometime to just conclude this episode a little bit better. But this is a very long topic, right? Like doing this properly could take, you could do it successfully in 60 minutes, but really you need 5 hours to do so. So no rush. Okay. And what were the new challenges and the new operations evolving when you went from, brand 1.0 to brand 2.0?
So like that scaling, those challenging to scaling, I think
Yeah.
it came from the fact that we had a free pass on our first season with our partners, especially with our wholesale partners. So they understood that it was our first time shipping, that we didn't put that label here, or we forgot something on the box, or we had like they were very lenient and they wanted the product and so on. Our second season, though, they were waiting for us, and they were not as lenient. So we had to be a lot more how do I say rigorous into how we're delivering when we're delivering, how we're communicating with them, and so on this piece of operation, I think it was a bit of a shift from the first to the second season, and the other seasons later on. We had to hire, at that point, this is the point where we had to hire our first account exec that would handle those conversations directly with buyers. And there were a lot of conversations, beyond just taking an order. And then from a logistics perspective, I think we also we needed to be working with a partner that would dedicate time, because it's shipping a wholesale order for a retailer, it demands it can be very different from one retailer to the other. Sometimes they want a hanger on their coats. Sometimes they ask for their own, we do things for them, we do include their label on our product very often. So there's a lot involved. So we basically, our partners became more demanding, but we also became more demanding with our partners and also with our employees, because we were hiring people who were more experts and more senior into this our operation. So
Right. Okay. But I'm guessing you had raised capital at this point, right? You raised capital with the person that you mentioned early on to fulfill the production and to actually produce, but then to hire better talent. How did that?
No, so our factoring partner is truly so they do factoring, and I'll explain briefly. They handle our accounts receivable, and they give us basically some type of protection of insurance when we ship a client with terms. So they act as like almost like an insurance for, that's how I would describe factoring for our shipping, but they also do like short-term financing. So they finance production. So this is not capital raised. They're not
just
involved
debt.
in capital. This is short-term, very specific short-term debt, like what's called pure financing. And so no, what happened is that we had people calling us, and they say, well, we saw your brand and we want to talk. So we had a number of people coming to visit us and said, do you need money? And we are like
independent investors or like private equity firms. And
yeah, they were so the first ones were VCs, independent investors. The first one in particular was became our lead investor later on, but she came to see us and she said, I saw your collection online, I bought your coat, I love it. I love what you guys do. She wanted to support female founders. We really hit it off with her. And so after a while, obviously Loan and I were a little bit,
we play hard to get. We're like,
but we also
we're not sure born investors. We did wait, and then when we realized,
this is where the luxury fashion experience came into play.
Yeah, but no, we truly had some concerns, and we truly were wondering if it was the right path for us, and the right partners. Truly, it took us a while to get to that point where we're like, okay, well, we want to do that. We want to scale this business. We need capital to scale it. So it took us a few months to get to that, conclusion. And so we raised a seed round with her as a lead, and we had a couple of it was a mix of VCs, institutional investors, and a couple of celebrities. It went really, we were very lucky that it went really smoothly, and we have like a great investors on our cap table. And that was enough to really get us to hire, our first team and get our first office. Product expansion, PR, communication, all those things that we needed in order to establish the brand. Because until then it was a product. Then it was time to establish the brand.
Yeah, it was a hero product driven brand, right? Yeah. It was a hero product dressed as a brand. Now it's a brand with hero products.
That's what the evolution is.
Yeah.
Yeah.